Finally, the time is here where I have to labor to see my beautiful bundle of joy. Can I or can I not go through these phases? What should I know and what should I expect when my labor starts? What will my midwife or my doctor do for me during these phases of labor? On today's episode, we will be talking about labor and all phases and stages of labor. Finally, the time is here to labor and see my beautiful bundle of joy. Can I or can I not go through these stages? What should I do? What should I know about labor? What will my doctor or my midwife do for me during the process of labor? The show is the Pregnacare show, and my name is Dede. I will be your host for today's episode. On today's episode, we have an experienced midwife with us. She will be taking us through what labor is and everything we should expect about labor and delivery. She's very experienced and very effective. So when you need a midwife, I'm sure you would need to see her. Hello.
Hi.
You are welcome to the Pregnacare show.
Thank you.
We are so grateful to have you on our show today.
Thank you.
So viewers, we'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll find out who our midwife is and everything we are supposed to know about labor. Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still the Pregnacare show and my name is Dede. So for the sake of our viewers, we'll have our midwife introduce herself to us.
My name is Linda Ayete. I'm a certified childbirth educator and a midwife of Resolve Medical Services.
On today's episode, we have Auntie Linda with us. She works at Resolve Medical Services. So if you need to see any health person or need any medical attention, you could visit Resolve Medical Services at Spinters. Auntie Linda, I want to know, when someone says labor, when we say labor, what is labor?
Labor is the process of a baby leaving the womb of a pregnant woman to be born.
Okay.
So that is simply the process of labor.
Yes. So that's when the baby is ready and then it wants to come out and
Actually,
it comes out.
Labor can be in several ways.
Yes. Okay.
Because there are sometimes that the woman baby is not ready to be born, but the woman will go into labor and the baby will be born. So either way, it is the process by which the baby leaves the womb and comes out to be born.
Okay. What are the signs of labor? What to tell somebody who has not been in labor before? Probably this is the first pregnancy and then she starts to experience certain things. So what would inform her that she's probably in labor or she's getting into labor?
Okay. So the woman will know that she's in labor when she's having contractions, which does not go away by lying down or sitting down, but then the pain actually comes and goes, and they become worse with time. So the continuous contractions that increase by time.
Okay.
And then as it continues, the woman goes into labor and it continues like that till the baby is born. I would say contractions usually, for the woman to know that she's having contractions, you can even liken it to the feeling of your forehead and your nose.
Okay.
If your nose is, the contractions actually is when it feels like your forehead. And when you're not contracting, it feels like your nose.
So that means when you're contracting, it's
becomes
hard. Your abdomen becomes hard. But when you are not it feels like the
your
tip.
nose. So then if you touch the tip of your nose, it's the feeling of a pregnant woman who is not in contraction.
Okay.
But then when you touch the forehead, it is like when you are contracting. So when you're having this and it's associated with pain in your lower abdomen and pain around your waist, then you are in labor. However, it is advised that when you are having these pain, you should time the contractions and then realize that it is actually continuous or it will stop in a low time. Okay. If it stops in low time, then it means it's a false labor. So you don't really need to go into the hospital or anything.
Okay. So how would such a woman time her contractions per what you are saying? And then you also talk of forced labor. So that means there will be true labor as well. We would want to find out what those are.
Timing your contractions is actually the way your abdomen feels.
Okay.
So if you are timing, what you do is when the contraction starts, you look at your second hand watch and time it to see how long it takes for it to become now like your nose. So once you do that, you wait for when the next one also comes. That is when you are timing your contractions.
Okay.
And you want to come to the hospital, especially when you are having contractions like every 5 minutes and it's lasting more than 20 seconds,
okay.
Then you want to come to the hospital.
Okay. So we still with our false and true labor. What is that?
So when you are having false labor, it means that when you time the contractions and you're having contractions, you will not exceed an hour. You may be having contractions, but then beyond an hour, the contractions may stop. Or when you have pain and you change position or you lie down in a certain way and it stops, then it means you are not having proper contractions. Then you may be in false labor.
Okay, so a woman who has timed their contractions and she feels probably she's in labor, when she comes to the hospital, what does a midwife or a doctor does for her to show that she's actually in labor?
The contractions that a woman is having is actually ways by which the cervix or the mouth of the womb is opening.
Okay.
So the more you contract, usually it helps the womb to also soften, the mouth of the womb to soften for it to open. So when you come to the hospital and you tell us that you are in labor or you're having contractions, what we'll do is we'll wear a glove and then we'll do a vaginal examination. A vaginal examination allows us to be able to reach the mouth of your womb or the cervix to see if it has started opening.
Okay.
If we examine you and the mouth of the cervix has started opening and you are having contractions, then we can say you are in labor. So sometimes when you come to the hospital and you tell us that you are in labor and we examine you and the cervix is not opening, then we will say that it is false labor. I realize that a lot of people mixed up false labor with something they call forced labor. Some people say that when you come to the hospital and you are being induced, it's called forced labor, okay. As in you are forcing labor to start. This is not so. There is nothing like us forcing labor. Forced labor is just that you feel you are having contractions, and when you come to the hospital, we examine you and we realize that labor hasn't actually started, so you have false labor.
Do you have stages in the labor, phases in the labor? We want to know what's the whole process of the labor, because I know that when a pregnant woman comes to the hospital, she doesn't just come and then she delivers. Probably she goes through some certain sequence or stages.
Labor is actually divided into the latent phase and the active phase. So, like I said, when we actually check the cervix and see whether it is opening. It is when you get to, the cervix is actually opening from 1 centimeter to 10.
Okay.
So the moment you reach the 4 centimeters line, then it means you are in active labor. But before the 4 centimeter line, everything that happens before the 4 centimeter line is actually latent phase. It is just a phase that is like quiet.
Okay.
So that can take a very long time. It can take a few days. But then once the active phase starts, then that can take a few hours for you to deliver.
So under the active phase of labor, do you have any other stages? If the woman is open from 4, what stages does she go through again, or there's nothing like that at all?
Okay. So when you are in active phase, we call something the first stage of labor. So that is when the cervix opened from 1 centimeter to 10 centimeters.
Oh, okay.
So then once you get to 10 centimeters, then you will hear that some of the midwives say second stage.
Okay.
So in second stage, you'll be positioned, and that's when the midwife or the doctor will tell you that when a pain comes, push.
Okay.
So second stage is when you push your baby out. Then we go to the third stage. Then the third stage is actually the delivery of the placenta.
Okay.
Once the placenta is delivered, then we know that we have finished the third stage. Some school of thought actually adds the fourth stage, where you are monitored through that stage to ensure that everything went well, you are not bleeding and you are fine.
Okay. We'll go for a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll find out more about labor and delivery. Welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still Pregnacare, and my name is Dede. We are at Resolve Medical Services, where we have Auntie Linda taking us through all the phases of labor and delivery. So Auntie Linda, we would want to know how cooperative are pregnant women and even their families?
Usually, it's nice to have a labor support person when you are going to have a baby. So usually we allow either the husband or a family member, usually the choice of the pregnant woman.
So how do you monitor or manage labor? When a woman comes in labor and you admit her and all the things you do, how do you manage the stages or phases you said? How do you manage it till she actually delivers?
Okay. When it comes to labor and childbirth, we are dealing with mother and baby.
Okay.
So all our monitoring goes to mother and baby. So we monitor the mother's contractions, we monitor the fetal heart rate, and then we monitor the mother's vital signs. If I say vital signs, you're talking about temperature, pulse, respiration, and blood pressure. So this is done every 30 minutes through the labor. So when this is happening, you usually have an attending nurse or midwife which is assigned to the baby, to the mother, throughout the period until the baby is born, and then he's gone through the 4th stage. That is when the woman is left alone.
So that means something can go wrong about a normal labor. A woman who has come and she's laboring, anything could go wrong about her or the unborn baby.
Yes.
So what is putting in place, or what is being put in place so that if such is being recognized, what is that?
And when the woman is pregnant, we have to educate the woman to know that every pregnancy has the potential of having a cesarean section. And some of the reasons why you may have a cesarean section is if your baby is in distress. So once you find out that the baby is in distress and you have a long way to go, then you'll be advised to have a cesarean section, and that usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes, and the baby will be out and mother will be fine. So usually the cesarean section is the quickest way to get the baby out. So far as we find that baby is in distress, then the first thing we have to do is to deliver the baby by cesarean section. However, before that is done, there are measures that we do to ensure that the baby will still be alive by the time you're taking the baby out. So we run some drip on the woman, we give oxygen, we put the woman on the left side. So we do series of things and continue monitoring until we are ready to go to theater to take the baby out completely.
But as a midwife, which of these would you is your priority? A baby or a mother? Maybe in a case where there's an emergency, you need to save one. This might sound some way, but who do you pay attention to, baby or mother?
Actually, the priority is on both.
Okay.
But initially, you want to be able to ensure that the mother is well. Ensure that the mother is well enough to be able to go through labor and deliver the baby. If the mother is not well also, there are times that we will go and have a cesarean section because the mother's blood pressure is probably too high. And if it is too high, we leave it alone. The mother may go into pre-eclampsia.
Okay.
So eclampsia can kill the mother and the baby. So once you realize that the woman is going into eclampsia, you do a cesarean section and deliver the baby so that the mother will be free from having an eclampsia.
So do you give all this education to pregnant women that come for antenatal, so they are aware of all these processes they have to go through? Probably could prepare them psychologically.
I would use this platform to actually encourage pregnant women to ask questions and not use like friends and parents or old wives' tales to be able to cheat themselves from what is happening to them.
Okay.
Also, I have this book written by myself, Understanding Pregnancy and Childbirth. It's a complete guide. It helps you to be able to understand what to know, what to expect, and how to be able to understand what goes on in your pregnancy.
Labor actually could go wrong, but then your midwife is always monitoring you. So if anything should go wrong with your labor, she's quickly alert, and whatever options they have, they are going to do for you. And as well, do not hear from people. Ask your midwife or your doctor for the best option on what to do. Let's hit the streets and take questions from our viewers.
Your friend me Joyce, Meti Accra. Na me she me nua no mu kunan omo enyem no. Says obi anyim na so kowo e mani nsuro and e mani ntie na obi akeka. Ebra na menyim no na me woda. Enso metiti nsem bebre na ebra mre no so nsem me kowo no. Me ko hospital me ko na so me na so ba mre no so nsem me wo. Nti mo ma me 3 days. 3 days no so ye pe na me ko hospital. Me ko ye mre mo de sha me pepepe na me wo ye.
I learned when a woman is going for delivery and she's pushing and the baby's head is not coming, they have to cut under there. So is it with every lady or some people they don't cut at all?
Person me best say in case na maphobia onyem abram ya tasi dobe embo bia na ma ya abo no.
My friend went through labor for 5 days before she went into C-section. Does it mean that in her next pregnancy she's going to experience a long labor? And again, does she have to go through C-section or she have to have a normal labor in her next pregnancy?
I want to find out how you can treat a cat after delivery.
I would like to know if it's really true whether midwives maltreat pregnant women at the hospital during their delivery.
So those were some questions from our viewers. Auntie Linda, one of our viewers said, sometimes when they are in labor and they come to the hospital, some midwives mistreat them. That is quite harsh. I do not know. So we want to find out, is it true? Do midwives mistreat clients who come in labor?
It's a myth. I'll say a lot of people have that opinion. But then usually a midwife will not maltreat you in labor. What we have to do actually is for us to be able to teach our patients to be able to understand what to expect. There are some people who do not even understand why they get the pain and how long it will take to last. So they sometimes misbehave. So they need to be encouraged and helped to go through the pain.
So Auntie Linda, you have been in the system for quite a long time. Could you share any experience with us? Any funny experience? Anything a pregnant woman came to do and it's quite funny or it's quite ununderstandable? Any encounter you have had before?
Oh, we've had pregnant women who actually lie on the floor and don't want to be touched because they are in pain. And sometimes it's interesting, but then once they know what they are going through and the outcome is actually having a baby, when the baby comes out and they have their bundle of joy, they are full of like joy. So even though they misbehaved and everything, you end up having the fun of them enjoying their outcome. So it's usually a successful outcome. So it's joy to watch.
So viewers, labor is actually painful, but your midwife is going to make it less painful and more natural for you to go through. So do not fear. Just speak to your midwife or speak to your doctor. When you have any questions, find a midwife and talk to her. Labor support persons, especially the husbands or the partners, please, you are encouraged to be with your wife or your partner when she's laboring, because this can give her much hope and much support to go through this stage safely. Let's go for a couple moments. When we come back, Auntie Linda would give us her final words on labor.
My name is Phyllis Esinam Avege. I work at Bentum Amwa & Co. as a secretary, and I'm a mother of 2. So when I first realized I was pregnant, I was excited because basically that's my first child. So I was excited about the whole thing. And during the first 3 months, I was having some minor changes. I was tired, feeling sleepy and all that. So, I mean, I didn't know what was going on. But with the advice of my mom and all that, I got used to the changes. So my first 3 months was not too easy, but the second trimester, I was getting used to it and all that. But when we get to the labor, when I was getting closer to my labor, that was my 38 weeks, the baby was not coming as I was scheduled. So I had to go for a forced labor. So when I went for the forced labor, still, baby was not coming. I asked the doctor what was the problem because I was getting scared. I went to the hospital on Monday and other people were there, they were just giving birth. But for me, I was just there and this one will come and then just, even one person had to give birth in front of me. I was like, doctor, what is going on? They said they wanted me to push by myself, but it was like the third day, my BP2 was a bit high. I was around 170, so I wasn't able to push. And the baby too was distressed, so I was getting worried. They had to prepare me for theater. So when they said theater, in fact, I was very scared because I wasn't planning for theater and I wasn't ready for it. But I had about 10 to 20 minutes to go to theater because the baby was very distressed. So they had to bring the forms for us to sign and then we signed. So I was rushed to theater. When I got to theater, when I saw the machines there, really, I was really scared. But my husband was praying behind the scene and my mother too was supporting me with prayers, because the difference between emergency theater and then you being prepared, emergency means like you don't know anything about it, so like you are just going to the theater. So we went to the theater and then they prepared me and then baby came out and then I was excited. But one thing that happened at the theater was that they misplaced one scissors, which they couldn't find it. So I was like, the doctor were asking the other nurses, where is the scissors, where's the scissors? And then I was scared, I was like, the scissors in my uterus or something. So about 10 to 15 minutes, we were still looking for the scissors. And then later they found it and I was happy. So theater was a bit scary because that was my first time and all that. But at the end of the day, I had my baby and I was happy.
Moments where we had our couple share their beautiful experience with us when they were in labor. The show is still Pregnacare. So Auntie Linda, what's your final words to our viewers? But before then, before your final words, there's some pregnant women come to the hospital actually with nothing. Okay, I don't know your section because I've had cases where she just walked into the hospital and she's in labor. If you encounter such cases, what do you do? Okay.
Like I told you, in Resolve, we actually give you a starter pack where you have all your needs for delivery. So you don't really need to come to the hospital with anything. But this varies from hospital to hospital. Because other hospitals will require that you bring a list of items. And that will be given to you before you go into labor. So that actually does not matter whether you are in one hospital or the other. If you have the book, Understanding Pregnancy, the list for going on confinement is actually in the book as well. So whether you're delivering Resolve or not, you'll be able to have the list for confinement.
Okay. So viewers, this is at Resolve. So anytime you visit Resolve Medical Services, you are entitled to get one of this so that you read more and then get more insight on what pregnancy is and then what you should expect during your period of pregnancy. Auntie Linda, a little more questions. What should a pregnant woman have as in the items? Probably viewers might want to know. Those who want to buy their own items, what should you get as you are coming into labor? Baby items and mother items. What do you need to get?
So when you're coming into labor, you need sanitary towels, you need baby diapers, baby clothes, hot sheets, disposable underwear. Okay. It's not compulsory because you can have your own underwears as well. So these are a few things that you can get. But then the hospitals have the list. So depending on the hospital that you are going, if they have what they will supply you, they will give you the list of what you should bring. And that makes it easier for you so that depending on where you are, you will know what to bring.
So Auntie Linda, what are your final words?
My final words are to pregnant women. I would say all pregnant women should go to the hospital as soon as they realize they are pregnant. And then when they realize they are pregnant, they should go to the hospital, ensure that they are receiving antenatal care. And when they are receiving antenatal care, they should ask questions and then attend the childbirth class or pregnancy school in the hospital that they are attending. Resolve Medical Services gives one of the good antenatal cares and will welcome every pregnant woman to have antenatal care and delivery. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Resolve Medical Services would offer all your pregnancy lessons and classes. Just visit them and you have everything sorted out. You can visit them on all their social media handles. Just type in Resolve Medical Services and you get them through. So our pregnancy tip for today's episode is pregnant women should start getting their items in bits. Do not wait till when you feel you are in labor, then you want to get your items. You can start getting them as the pregnancy advances, and as well pay attention to your body. When you feel you are in labor or you start having the contractions, as Auntie Linda said, or you start having waist pain, lower abdominal pains, it is okay to visit your midwife for you to be examined. If it's the true labor, then you are being admitted. If it's the forced labor, they also decide on what to do for you. So come to the hospital and then you'll be monitored properly so that you have a safe delivery with your partner and get your bundle of joy safely home. The show has been Pregnacare and my name is Dede. You can follow us on all our social media handles and also subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Pregnacare Show. See you next week for a more interesting topic.